Hey guys, thank you for coming back. So, today we'll be looking at the Florida Contractors Manual 2021 edition. And we will be highlighting the key points in this chapter that will most likely be on your exam. Here you have the contents at glance. Chapter 1, Business Planning and Organization. Then you have table of contents. This information is very important. It'll help you navigate answers to the questions during your exam. So this is very useful. The index is even better. So we will go through the index later on. First page 1.5, we have construction is similar to other businesses as it relates to planning, organization, management, and structure. Under business planning, we have a business plan is essential. Some general guidelines that you can follow when working on your business plans are executive summary. This section will include items such as the following key points. Description. You have research your market, funding, projections, and in this paragraph you want to highlight charts and graphs are also good to use in this section. Some questions to consider in this section are the key points. And down below on page 1.7 you have business organization. The details of organizing your construction business entails but is not limited to name, location, structure, workforce, registration, licenses, regulation, taxes, finance, leasing, insurance, record keeping, and advertising and marketing. Next page, business location. The SBA notes that business location has an effect on costs regarding items such as salaries, property values, rental rates, business insurance rates, utilities, and government licenses and fees. Some locations have incentives such as hub zone and tax credits for small businesses. Business structure. Down below, the type of business organization that you select depends partly upon the following key points. Next paragraph, the most common type of business structures are sole proprietorship, partnership, joint venture, or corporation. And then we have sole proprietorship. A sole proprietorship is the simplest form of business organization. The owner manages the business and is responsible for all decisions. It only requires compliance with the state and local compliance licensing requirements. So on the exam, it can ask you what is the simplest form of business, and that's the sole proprietorship. Control of business. Sole proprietorship. You have absolute authority over all business decisions. Advantages, disadvantages. And then we have the partnership. The Florida Uniform Partnership Act defines a partnership as two or more persons associating themselves as co-owners for the purpose of carrying on a business for profit. It is strongly recommended that the partnership be founded on a written agreement. A partnership agreement should include, and you should read the following points. Down below on page 1.9, there are two types of partnership recognized in Florida: a general partnership and a limited partnership. So whenever you see numbers, you should circle them, and keywords, you should highlight or circle them. This is going to help you remember and engrave this information in your mind for when you go to take your exam. General partnership, page 110. A general partnership is defined as any association of two or more persons operating for profit. Each of the partners are fully and personally liable as co-owners of the business. Limited partnership. A limited partner is a person or entity who invests capital in the partnership and receives a share of partnership proceeds. A limited partner is immune from liability for partnership debts beyond the amount of his investment. A limited partner cannot be involved in the management or day-to-day operations of the business without risking the loss of their immunity from liability. A limited partnership may have any number of limited partners, but must always have at least one general partner. So this is very important as well. General partnership and limited partnerships. You have to know the differences. Down below under advantage of partnership, these key points are important. Disadvantages, these key points are important. And joint ventures. A joint venture is a special combination of two or more persons or entities jointly seeking a profit in some specific venture without an actual partnership or corporation, who intend to do business as a joint venture are governed substantially by the same rules that govern the partnerships. Second paragraph, the joint venture is usually limited to a single transaction. Down below we have corporation. The corporate form of business is usually costliest to organize. So in the exam, it might ask you what's the costliest business to organize, and that's the corporate. Advantages of corporations. Key points to read. Disadvantages, key points to read here. One of the main ones, well, they're all important, but one of the ones to highlight is most expensive form to organize. S corporation, formerly known as subchapter S. The S corporation is not affected by corporate income taxes, thereby eliminating the double taxation feature of standard corporation, the election of S corporation. Chapter 112. Aside from being treated as a partnership from tax standpoint, the S corporation and standard corporation share most of the same pros and cons with a few exceptions. A corporation must meet certain requirements before the S corporation alternative becomes feasible. They are the following key points. The corporation must be a domestic entity incorporated within the United States. The corporation can have only one class of stock. Only individuals or estates can be shareholders. The corporation cannot be part of another organization. There is a maximum number of shareholders allowed. The corporation cannot have any non-resident alien shareholder. 20% or more of its revenue must be domestically generated. Dividends, interest, royalties, rents, annuities, and securities transactions cannot account for more than 20% of total revenues. So again, guys, make sure you circle, underline key numbers and key words. Control of the business, 51%. Workforce. The following below are points to consider and think about regarding your workforce. Page 113. Registration. County. You have occupational licenses. Occupational licenses are required for every business and are issued by counties and cities. And you also have certificate of occupancy, zoning permits, certificate of use. Next page is page 114, state. The Florida General Corporation Act, Chapter 607, Florida statutes. You have fictitious name. This will more than likely be on your exam. So try to remember this and highlight it and circle the keywords here. A person may engage in business under a fictitious name by registering with the Division of Corporations, by filling out an application for registration of fictitious name. The fictitious name must be advertised one time in a newspaper in the county where the applicant's principal place of business will be located, and proof of publication need not be submitted. So they might ask you how many times can it be advertised? One time. And where a newspaper in the county where the applicant's principal place of business will be located. So one time in a newspaper. And down below, fictitious names are valid for 5 years and expire on December 31st of the 5th year. Each fictitious name registration must be renewed between July 1st and December 31st on the expiration year to maintain registration under this act. So fictitious names are valid for 5 years. That's a question they might ask you. And when does it expire? On December 31st, the 5th year. Page 115. Sales tax number. DR-1. Application for certificate of registration. Sales tax number. First paragraph. All businesses which collect the sales tax number secure a certificate of registration sales tax number from the Department of Revenue. Right here you have Department of Revenues, the SS-4, the EIN number. The form must be filed on before or 7th day after the day on which business begins. Next, page 116, qualifying agents. This is also very important. However, if a partnership, venture, joint venture, corporation, or any other form of business entity proposes to engage in contracting, it must apply to the Florida Department of Professional Regulation through the qualifying agent. The primary qualifying agent for a business organization under the laws of the state Florida is jointly and equally responsible for supervision of all operations of the business and organization, for all field work and all sites, and for financial matters, both the organization in general and for each construction job. Page 117, key point for leasing is the site zoned for your type of business? Skip a couple pages on to page 120. Here we are under business management. Some principal duties of an effective and responsible manager include but are not limited to planning, organizing, directing, controlling, standardizing, assigning, and communicating effectiveness. Here all those points are highlighted. Page 121, partnership dissolution or termination. When a partnership comes to an end, there are basically 3 steps which it goes through: dissolution, winding up, and termination. Termination is the point in time when all partnership affairs are wound up and winding up or liquidation in the actual process of selling assets, paying liabilities, and distributing the excess to the partners after dissolution. A partnership is also dissolved by, you have 2 points here, and this is another key point to highlight, circle, because it will more than likely be on your exam as well. When a partnership comes to an end, there are 3 basic steps, and here they are. Make sure to remember those. Here are the other 3 and 4. For a partnership is dissolved by, here are the other 2. Next, page 122, corporate dissolution and liquidation. 2 types of dissolution should be distinguished: voluntary dissolution and involuntary dissolution. Pretty simple, but also remember to highlight and circle key numbers and words. Down below, Florida law prescribes 3 procedures for the voluntary dissolution of corporation. 1, 2, 3. And then down below, the most important exceptions are 1 and 2. Page 124, you have permit for construction. Construction of any structure in or across navigable waters of the U.S. or any road, pipeline, convey, or system, or any other structure or adjacent to levee or similar federally maintained structure. You have the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers or the Florida Department of Environmental Regulation. Also want to highlight that. This will more than likely be on your exam too, guys, so remember U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. Page 125, you have Department of Professional Regulation, Construction Industry Licensing Board. Then you have electrical, engineers, and land surveyors. Page 126, we have Form 940 Employers Annual Unemployment Tax Return. Used to report and pay on an annual basis the federal unemployment compensation tax. If you have no employees, this form is not needed. State UCT 6S. Unemployment compensation tax return. Used to report and pay quarterly employers' unemployment compensation tax based on unemployed wages. Then you have workers' compensation. Next page, 127. You want to highlight 2.5% of the first 1,200 of tax liability with a maximum of $30. This is for DR-15 CS sales and use of tax report. Skip a couple pages. On page 130, you have SCORE. Also very important to remember. SCORE counselors meet with small business owners and prospective entrepreneurs to determine and discuss their business problems. After careful consideration and evaluation, the counselor will formulate a plan of action designed to help minimize or eliminate the problem areas. And that's all for chapter 1. So chapter 1 was pretty short. Again, the purpose of highlighting these key points is because they will more than likely be on your exam, and try to go through each chapter at least 3 times, and remember to circle and highlight and underline key words as well. This will help you. I will go over through the tabbing later on in other videos, and that will also help engrave the material. That way you remember this stuff during the exam. And this is going to help you to navigate the book as well. And we will also go through the index, which is in the back of the page, which is very crucial to looking up keywords during the exam. So we'll go over that in later videos. If you have any questions, please let me know. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe as well. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks.